It's been a minute, and I can tell it's been a minute because you know how when you get a break from something, you're just kind of re-energized for it?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's like me and you in this show after I got Grandy on Friday.
There you go. And
I almost couldn't wait to see you today.
Whoa.
Almost.
What?
I'd like to dig into that a little bit more, but not until we've talked to Nick Friedell, who I can tell hasn't had to deal with us in a while, because now that he's ready to deal with us and join us on the River Islands guest line, he's like dancing. He's dancing to the music. And I can tell he's refreshed. That's all I'm saying. So here he comes, Odyssey NBA insider Nick Friedell, brought to you by Hyundai. Discover what's next at your local Hyundai dealer, official partner of FIFA World Cup 2026. It's dancing Nick Friedell. Hey, dude, how are you?
Mark, I'm great. I am getting ready to get to Seattle on Friday for the big showdown with Team USA. The Cubs just took 2 from the Giants. I mean, life is pretty good right now.
I mean, a 3-3 week against the Giants. You have to be so proud.
Hey, with the way things have been going for this team, that's a great week.
Man.
It could have been a lot worse recently.
I'd like to just suggest to you kindly to maybe raise your bar, Nick. That's all. Just a little bit. A little bit.
You're not going to believe this, but that's not the first time I've heard that in life. So I will keep that in mind, and we'll keep moving forward.
Fair enough. All right, speaking of moving forward, how about that NBA season? Can I just give you a broad, like, what did we learn? If I ask you that, what stands out?
The biggest thing is that Victor Wembanyama is the new face to me. He is the guy we've been looking for. Who's going to take over when LeBron and Steph retire? Well, we found the guy. That is the guy. It's Wemby. It's Wemby's league. He is the one that makes everything kind of go now. And they had quite the meltdown in the finals, and the Knicks win for the first time in 53 years, and Brunson is incredible. But, Mark, if you're looking for one single takeaway, it's that Wemby is the face moving forward now for the league.
Which is a bigger factor to you in the NBA Finals? Was it the Spurs collapse or the Knicks rising up and playing clutch?
It was the Spurs collapse. Mr. Dibs, when you go up 29 in the third quarter of a finals game, on no planet should you be able to come all the way back and win that game. The Spurs had leads in every one of those games. It always felt like they were right there with another play or two. But that Game 4 collapse is something we're going to remember for a long, long time. As much as I want to give Jalen Brunson credit, because I think that guy has proven to be incredible with how he continues to improve, given where he started as a second-round pick. What we're going to remember the most from the finals was that the Spurs had every chance in the world to win the title, and they didn't happen because they continued to make mistakes way too late down the stretch.
Nick, with the draft a week from tomorrow and the season now in the rearview mirror, let's zero in a little bit on what you think is about to happen to the Golden State Warriors. And let me start with this. Do you think there's anything this offseason that we don't see coming that is possible for this team? So nothing with all the talk all year, Giannis, Kawhi, even LeBron. Is there anything outside of that world at a large level that could happen for this team?
No. And, Mark, even those, and we had started to talk about this right after the season, those particular possibilities are far-fetched. Yep. I mean, at this point, I think the one that still has at least more of a chance is LeBron finding his way here, although what I would tell you is even if LeBron got here at this stage of his career, are they better? Sure. But where are they really going if he did appear? So it's kind of all in the eye of the beholder. But is there something that I'm expecting to knock everybody's socks off and change the way we look at this team going into next season? The answer for me is no. I mean, I look at a guy, and we've mentioned his name several times throughout the year, like Trey Murphy from the Pelicans. He would fit. He's a younger piece. But what you would have to give up to get him, where does that put you even if you got him? That's what would scare me. So as we sit here a week or so before the draft in getting ready for whatever's to come, I'm viewing this Warriors team the same way I was viewing it all along, which is we're about to veer into the Kobe zone with Steph. Every night you're going to watch him play. Everybody's going to remember just how great he is when he's out there. But this is a team that is not built with him as the centerpiece right now, with enough talent around him to really think they can do much beyond that.
Do you think there's any possibility or any viability of trading Jimmy Butler in his expiring contract?
Dibs, I think it's always possible, but it would come down to what else are you going to attach to make that happen. And in that regard, why, if you're the Warriors, are you going to attach whatever the picks would have to be or the younger pieces to get Jimmy's deal out that badly? Like, what are you going to get that is going to make you that much better? I think with an expiring deal in the league, it's always a possibility, but you'd have to give up so much to make that happen that I don't see it right now. But if I've learned anything covering the league, as long as I have, anything really is possible, even with trades of guys who aren't going to play much going into the next year. You can always make something happen. But if I'm the Warriors, I'm looking at the first rounder they've got right now and all the other assets that they have kind of in the organizational war chest. And I'm saying, hey, let's get younger. Let's get more athletic. Let's get some guys in here that can shoot and learn from Steph. And let's try to continue to build moving forward. I mean, Jimmy still might be able to help at the end of next year, but that is a hell of a long way off, one. And he's got a hell of a lot of rehab still to go, which is why I don't foresee some kind of major deal happening with his contract involved.
Insider calls are brought to you by Hyundai. Discover what's next at your local Hyundai dealer, like our next generation EV, the Ioniq 9. Hyundai, official partner of FIFA World Cup 2026. I'll throw this out there just because I promised I'd ask, even though I think you've kind of detailed where you stand on this, but where do you think Giannis does end up? And is there even a possibility of the Warriors being the third team and having that lead to another player come to Chase Center?
Mark, as far as being the third team, I think anything's on the table for the Warriors because of all the draft assets that they still have. There are not a lot of teams that have every pick that they do have. And they have, as Dibs mentioned, the Jimmy deal, which we'll see what kind of value, if anything, that has in any potential deal. Where Giannis lands, nobody has the right answer for that right now. I have always thought that there was a fit in Miami, but if it was going to be Miami, it should have been Miami months ago. Yep. I mean, that's been a conversation that's been going on all along. So I think the only surprise to me as we try to filter what may be real as far as the Giannis deal goes is the surprise would be if he's still in Milwaukee at the start of next year. There has been way too much smoke for way too long to think that, let's just run it back and see if we can make it work again. I think he's ready for the divorce. It feels like the team is now ready for the divorce. But what does it take to actually make the deal happen? And that's the biggest thing, because let's get real here, guys. Basketball always at the core is a business. The second you trade Giannis, who in the world is going to show up night to night at these Milwaukee Bucks games? Not that many people. So that is a huge problem. He has been the centerpiece of what they built for years and years. And whether he lands in Miami or somewhere else, it's just never going to be the same for that Bucks team again.
Is there any chance that Giannis goes to Boston and somehow, with that draft capital, Jalen Brown becomes a Warrior?
I would never say there's zero chance. I would just find it very hard to believe that would happen. And I also tell you, Mark, I think Jalen Brown is a hell of a player and he's still getting better. But again, how much better is that making you given the pieces in place that you have right now? You don't want to tear it all the way down because you still do have Steph. And he's meant so much to the organization. And all he's ever talked about is wanting to play in one place. But at the same time, the best business course of action for this Warriors team right now would probably be to blow it completely up and tear it all the way down. So I don't foresee a Jalen Brown deal happening. I think he's a really good player, but I think that contract is not going to age well in the future. So that one would surprise me a whole hell of a lot.
What does your LeBron-ometer, so to speak, tell you about what he might be doing this offseason?
I do think there is at least a better chance, Dibs, of a LeBron appearance than any other kind of possibility we've thrown out there to this point. The question to me, as you start to break down what's going to happen with LeBron is he going to handle at this stage of his unbelievable career taking that much less money, whether it's the Warriors or somewhere else? Because I just don't see LeBron being able to command the type of salary that he would be due, not only for his ability to still fill up the seats, but what he produces on a nightly basis. I've always thought that after all the smoke cleared, he'd probably end up in LA again. But let's play it out. Let's say there's a chance that he comes to the Warriors. It would have to be that he took the mid-level in order to do it. That's about $16 million. Is LeBron James going to extend his unbelievable career for $16 million to go play with Steph and potentially Draymond, depending on what happens with the option and a new deal and whatever else? Only he knows the answer to that. But Dibs, if you're LeBron and you've played not only at the same level for so long, but you've been paid at nearly that same level for so many years, is it worth it to you to stay in this thing for another year on a team that is not going to win a title to make that much less money than what you're currently making and you've made for so long? Only he can answer that. But I would be a little surprised if not only he took that much less, but he landed here to play on a team that would be interesting as hell. They just would not be a title contender again.
Odyssey NBA insider Nick Friedell with us here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. Draft a week from tomorrow. Nick, are you getting any sort of a sense of even the type of player that the Warriors might go after if they need someone who's got, a little hair on the chest, or are they open to a 19-year-old?
Mark, I think they're open to anybody who they feel like they can grow with. As I look through the prospects, and I was down there at Chase a few days ago and listening to him, I think the guy that makes sense on the surface is Yaxel Lendeborg from Michigan, who just won the title. He's a big man who can shoot it, who can play a little bit down low. But guys, he's going to be 24 when the season starts. I mean, he's not exactly the guy that you're going to bring in and he's going to keep getting better and better. And, oh, my gosh, it's like he's 22 years old and the sky is the limit. This is a prospect that you need to bring in to help you win right away. I think he's going to help an NBA team. The question is, how much is he going to help this Warriors team that is clearly in some kind of transition? To answer the question, though, more broadly, Mark, I think they're open to just about anybody. This is the quintessential, you trust your staff, they put in the work for months. Who do you think is the best player when 11 rolls around? And that's what it boils down to. I was just down there a couple hours ago at the workouts today. Everybody wants to play for the Warriors. They know what it means to be here. They know the standard that's been set, and they know that Steph is still Steph. It's more what is the fit. And as I go through these prospects, I would pick somebody that could shoot it, because this team doesn't have a lot of shooting and has the ability to kind of defend in different spots. And if it's me and you have some guy at 11 that you believe can really help you offensively and hold his own defensively, whoever the best fit is who's still available, that's who you go with.
Yeah, and I think it might be that very guy, the guy who I absolutely love for them at 11. He's from Michigan. Draymond's Michigan State. I don't know how that would overall jibe, but the big question for me, Nick, is what happens with Draymond Green? Do you think he gets a reworked deal for an additional year or maybe even more?
Mr. Dibs, that's what it feels like, because it's felt all along from a distance that if Draymond picked up that option that's worth $28 million or so, they'd say, hey, Draymond, thank you for everything. This is not the best place for you anymore. And they would find somewhere to go. Now, when I look at it, it feels like everybody kind of wants to find some way to continue to make this happen. But Dibs, they want it to happen on their number. I mean, Draymond has made a ton of money. He has built the culture with Steph and Clay. He's done so many things to the organization, but he's no longer a $28 million a year player night to night. So I think they can work out some kind of deal for the future, but it would have to be at a lower number than that. And this is the business side of basketball. So as far as odds go, absolutely, I would expect still Draymond to be here at the start of next year. But Dunleavy has said it several times since probably midway through the season and in his press conference last month, wrapping everything up. This is in Draymond's hands right now. They're waiting to see what he decides. If he declines that option and he comes back at a lower number, I think there is a path forward for both parties involved. If he doesn't and he wants to cash all that money, which is absolutely within what he agreed to and what Rich Paul came to the contract negotiation with, then I think the Warriors will look to say, all right, this is probably not the best place for you moving forward anymore.
Nick, it feels like even the guys who've been here for a really long time, and I mean this, players, coaches, executives, feel like they're annoyed by the idea of status quo. Like that finally got to everybody this year. So what will change? What do you think is different this year with Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy's Warriors as opposed to the last couple of years?
Mark, that's a very good question. And I think they're grappling with it every single day, because the reality is I don't think much is going to change. I think we can talk about this all day long. Oh, well, what if Draymond doesn't come back, and what happens with Jimmy? Could he get moved in his salary? And we haven't even touched on Pods yet. What happens with his extension? How does that potentially work out? Guys, I get paid to kind of figure out whatever the next step may be. And as I break down the possibilities because of the Jimmy injury and the Moses Moody injury, I don't see it looking that much different than the way it looks right now. And that's why Dunleavy is in a really kind of tough spot, because all we ever hear is Joe Lacob wants to win and he wants to still be competitive. Guys, this is not a very competitive looking team right now. Let's get real. Jimmy's hurt for at least probably half of next year. Who knows if Moses is going to make it back next year. Steph is getting older and just missed 2 months because of a knee injury. I mean, this team on paper just is not very good. You've got a draft pick. There are some moves that you could potentially make. But, Mark, I think part of the reason that Kerr came back in the first place is he loves the job, and certainly he's getting paid a ton of money. But what was the next best option? You can't tear this thing all the way down because you still have Steph, and Steph is the engine of everything. But so long as you have Steph and you owe it to him to continue to try and win and put a good product out on the floor, you tell me what the moves are. Because the way the cap looks and the money that you already owe is in place, I think this season is going to look a heck of a lot like we just saw last year. There's only so much room for them to move and do things with. And unless you're banking on somebody like Pods or this draft pick, whomever it may be, to really improve and make a dramatic leap, I think we're going to end up seeing a team that looks a lot like the 500 level team we saw a season ago.